Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and watch to the end of the video to stay up to date on your stimulus checks. Today we are talking about the second stimulus check update and unemployment benefits that may come from a new bill. With the upcoming election being days away and Washington should be passing a new stimulus bill for the pandemic relief. Right now, they should be closer than ever to going up with a deal for a bill. There is still hope for a new bill being passed for a second stimulus check, and it will most likely be coming this month in November. We can be seeing three possible ways for the second check to come this November, so stay tuned to find out. Number 1. If Democrats sweep this year, an enormous stimulus bill would likely pass in late January, just following Inauguration Day. If Democrats know they can provide the large-scale aid bill they want in January, it would make little sense for them to compromise heavily in November or December to push a bill through the Republican-controlled Senate. This would bring the second stimulus check, and also a third stimulus check could be possible. Number 2. If Republicans keep control of the Senate, Mitch McConnell has the power here. Both sides would be under extreme public pressure to pass a stimulus bill during the period, which may or may not happen. If McConnell seems to be marshalling his Senate soon after the election, then it will happen. If not, then negotiations will continue into the new administration. McConnell, for his part, said on Friday that he expects a package right at the beginning of the year. So more or less the same as the Democrats, unless Trump wins the elections, as he said he would get out a second stimulus check faster as soon as he wins. Number 3, it could be mid-November, and no stimulus bill has appeared, so given that all sides generally agree on another round of stimulus checks and extended federal unemployment benefits, it would not be surprising if the second stimulus check and unemployment, or both, and other aid measures, were tucked into the upcoming funding bill that will prevent government shutdown on December 11th. Why didn't Congress pass a bill before Election Day? McConnell's wish that the White House not actually agree to terms of the stimulus package before Election Day seems to have been honored. On Thursday, Pelosi sent a letter to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin claiming that Mnuchin had not responded to compromise language on a number of topics relating to COVID-19 response and health insurance coverage, and indicating continued disagreements on a half-dozen separate funding topics. Mnuchin was miffed to read the letter in the media, and turned the blame right back at her and her all-or-none approach. Right now they seem to not be caring about the people and using the stimulus check and the pandemic as a political game. Congress left Washington and won't be back until after Tuesday's election, despite record numbers of new infections and the threat of fresh winter economic restrictions hitting the economy and Americans' wallets. While lawmakers will not send relief before the election, Pelosi signaled to Mnuchin that she wants to continue discussions after the country votes. "Your responses are critical for our negotiations to continue," the speaker wrote. The president's words that, after the election, we will get the best stimulus package you have ever seen, only have meaning if he can get Mitch McConnell to take his hand off the pause button and get the Senate Republican chairman moving toward agreement with their House counterparts. Pelosi says she is optimistic a deal can be reached before the election despite continuing stalemate. Mnuchin responded to Pelosi on Thursday afternoon, saying the speaker sent the letter to my office at midnight and simultaneously released it to the press. I can unfortunately only conclude that it was a political stunt. The Treasury Secretary wrote that he has dedicated endless hours to trying to reach a compromise, but argued the Democrat has not made the same effort to find common ground. He said that, contrary to Pelosi's comments, the White House did accept Democrats' proposal on COVID-19 testing and offered reasonable compromise positions on the range of other topics Pelosi highlighted. Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, who have not agreed on much related to the virus response in recent months, differed again Friday when asked about when stimulus could pass. The Kentucky Republican told radio host Hugh Hewitt that he expects to handle relief right at the beginning of the year, with legislation targeted particularly at small businesses that are struggling and hospitals that are now dealing with a second wave of the coronavirus. Pelosi said she expects Congress certainly will have something done at the start of the new presidency. And, we don't want to have to wait that long, because people have needs. The winner of the presidential election will get inaugurated on January 20th, and the speaker said she believes Democrat Joe Biden will take the oath of office that day. At the same time, President Donald Trump pushed for even more rapid passage of stimulus than the top Senate Republican and Democrat did. Speaking to reporters Friday, the president claimed, "We will have a tremendous stimulus package immediately after the election." The mixed messages follow a day of tense correspondence between Pelosi and the Trump administration as the sides struggle to break a months-long impasse over stimulus. How they could craft a bipartisan deal capable of passing the Republican-held Senate and Democratic-controlled House remains unclear. progress toward a relief deal ground to a halt in recent weeks as Republicans and Democrats differ over how much money they need to inject into efforts to slow record new infections in the U.S. and boost a sluggish economy. Despite the impasse, negotiators have acknowledged they will need to send aid in some form eventually. While Pelosi is widely expected to lead a Democratic majority in the House next year, the Senate and White House both could change hands after Tuesday's election. Congress has failed to pass new relief funds for months despite a lingering economic crisis that has left millions unemployed and scrambling to cover bills. New cases on Thursday hit another U.S. record, 88,521, raising the specter of fresh restrictions to limit the spread. Despite a third-quarter economic rebound to the tune of a record 33.1% annual GDP increase, economic growth is still 3.5% below its level at the end of 2019 before the virus hit the U.S. Once cordial relations between Pelosi and Steven Mnuchin appeared to grow more bitter this week. On Thursday, the Democrat sent the Treasury Secretary a letter saying the White House has not given her expected responses about a range of lingering relief issues. They include state and local government aid, a national testing strategy, unemployment insurance, liability protections for businesses and tax credits for families. Mnuchin in turn accused Pelosi of pulling a political stunt after what he called a long effort to find common ground and offer reasonable compromise positions on the topics she mentioned. Pelosi downplayed any personal tension between her and Mnuchin on Friday. "It doesn't matter what our relationship is, it matters what the truth is. And the truth is that this administration has failed miserably in responding to this virus," she said. Pelosi told reporters Thursday that the CARES Act relief bill passed earlier this year deserves credit for injecting resources into the economy. But she added that, if we don't pass a recovery bill, a COVID-19 bill, we will face dire circumstances, as well. She said she still hopes to strike a stimulus agreement before the winners of next week's presidential and congressional elections take office in January. McConnell on Monday responded to criticism that Republicans rushed to confirm Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett before the election without passing coronavirus aid. He said that, "We have been working on coronavirus relief. While Congress fails to send more aid to Americans, polls show voters broadly want additional relief as millions still struggle to make ends meet during the downturn." A University of Texas Dallas poll taken over 2 weeks this month found 42% of voters nationally consider coronavirus stimulus their top legislative priority. Unfortunately, the Speaker has not been able to agree to anything remotely reasonable. "We can do two things at once, and we were trying to do two things at once," he said. The election outcome could shape whether negotiators can or even want to reach a stimulus deal in the months before the next president and Congress take office. Thank you for tuning in today. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will be seeing you next time.